Welcome into Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. My name is Madelyn Burke, alongside the Super Bowl champion Amani Toomer. It's a Thanksgiving edition of our show as the Giants went down to Dallas to face the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day, a 27-20 loss at Dallas, Amani. But of course, the big storyline heading into this game, Drew Lock getting his first start at quarterback as Tommy DeVito dealing with forearm soreness.
Yeah, I think he did a decent job in terms of, he threw that one interception, but that was an incredible play. But in terms of the way he fought throughout the entire game and didn't give up, got the team an opportunity towards the end there to put some points on the board. 20 points is not something to scratch at, especially the struggles that the Giants have had this year putting points on the board. So 20 it's not a bad look for a quarterback coming in as the third string, moving up to the second string, then the first string quarterback.
Well, and Drew Lock was able to do so much, not just in the passing game, but also with his legs on that opening drive that they scored on. He had a 29-yard run, 28-yard run, whatever you want to call it, that was called back out of the end zone, put him at the 1-yard line. Tyrone Tracy was able to run in for a touchdown. And then that second touchdown that they scored in the fourth quarter, he was able to run it in as well, distributing the ball in the passing game as well, getting the ball to Malik Neighbors early, to Theo Johnson. But of course, the big hiccup that was in the way of this Giants offense was the penalties.
Yeah, there was far too many penalties, especially to beat if you're a struggling team and you're on the road, Thanksgiving, a short week. One thing you don't want to do is make the game harder for yourself, and that's exactly what they did by the penalties. And it just seemed like a lot of them were unforced. They were, there was one where the guy had too many people on the field, which is just unexcusable. And then a lot of holding penalties, procedural penalties. It just it made for a very ugly game. But like we were saying, Drew Lock did, he did play pretty well in terms of 21 for 32. 178 yards, no touchdowns, but only one interception. So he played pretty well. 4 rushing attempts for 57 yards and a touchdown. That's a pretty good game for her.
Yeah, no passing touchdowns. He did have the rushing touchdown, but of course the other stat that stands out right there is the interception. Yeah. One of 2 turnovers the Giants had as well. And when you lose the turnover battle, it is hard to win a game.
Yeah, it really is, and especially when a team's struggling to put points on the board, you don't want to give another team a short field to get points. So there's a lot of little things that they were doing that held this team back from actually competing during this game. Pretty much for the most of the part of the game, it wasn't even really competitive till the end. Got to give them credit for fighting through all the way through the end, but it was very sloppy play for a majority of this game.
Yeah, two turnovers for the Giants, no takeaways on the defense. So of course you lose the turnover battle 2-0. The Giants haven't won a game all year when they lose the turnover battle. Defensively, the way that the Giants defense looked in this game, you look at the Cowboys, and they're not known for being a particularly strong running team.
Yeah.
Rico Dowdle has his first 100-yard rushing game of the year, of his career, of the season. Mm-hmm. He has his first rushing touchdown of his career against this Giants team. He had over 80% of his rushing yards after contact.
After contact, yeah.
And that is a significant thing. When you've got 80 of 100 rushing yards coming after contact, I know completing the tackles has been a point of emphasis for this Giants team, but what do you make of that stat?
Well, the Giants need to tackle better. I mean, there's no two ways about it. There's so many missed tackles, especially when the game is critical and when there's an opportunity to get off the field, there's an opportunity to change the momentum. You get in position and you do everything right and you miss the tackle. Those are the types of things that lose you football games and really hurt the momentum. The Giants ended up finding a way to keep fighting and stay close. But close isn't good enough in the NFL, especially in this league, and especially when you're on Thanksgiving playing against your rivals in the Cowboys. Man, if just a couple more tackles, this game could have been completely different.
Right, because you don't want these defensive players looking like they're out there with the itis on Thanksgiving Day. It's like, let's get some energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's close this one out a little bit. I get it. The meal is good pregame. You're a little sluggish, but so is everyone.
Exactly.
You want to be out there doing your best right now. Yeah. When you look at the way that this one went down, too, obviously last week Malik Neighbors talked about how he wanted to get involved earlier in the game. This one we saw him. We saw him getting some targets early. We saw him getting involved early. He finished with 13 targets, 8 receptions for 69 yards. What did you see that changed the rhythm of the game getting Malik involved earlier on?
Well, I think it made him feel a lot better, but in terms of production, 13 targets is a lot for a receiver. I wish I got 13 targets for the majority of the games I played in. But 8 catches for 69 yards, it just shows that he is, he's learning how to be a receiver, needs to learn how to be more of a game breaker. And also, there's a couple drops there that he had. And that's kind of something that I feel like needs to be addressed more and more. I don't want him to be known as a guy who drops the ball as much as he has been. And I just feel there's a lot he needs to work out in his game to get to that next level. He has all the talent to do that. We all want and believe him to be better. And the situation he's in now isn't really fair for a young receiver to be the focal point of an offense. And that's exactly what he is. Not every situation is great, but the fact that he is in this position that he is, where he has to lead this team, he needs to be more consistent catching the football.
Well, and you look at those drops, a lot of that can be attributed to a little bit of a rookie mistake,
Yeah.
right? Just like with Tyrone Tracy, he had a couple fumbles in the recent games, a rookie mistake. They had Devin Singletary starting this one. But the rookies are getting a lot of playing time because this is a young team. Another rookie who kind of made a presence felt, especially late in the game, was Theo Johnson, the 4th-round pick out of Penn State, the tight end. Big number 84, Theo Johnson, was getting the ball downfield pretty consistently, especially in that second half.
What I really liked about what Theo was doing was all his runs were physical.
Yeah.
All his runs, he was breaking the tackles. He was making the extra yards, getting the extra effort. That's what I would like to see from more players on this team. I feel like the 2 rookies, and Tyrone Tracy and Theo Johnson, are the only players that are really getting the ball and taking advantage of their situation. They're young players that are hungry and they're showing it on the field, play in and play out. I wish more players on the team would take after the intensity that Theo Johnson is playing with for the rest of this season. That would be a huge step up for everybody on this team. It'd be more fun for us to watch when you got more players looking like they want to be out there.
Right. I mean, especially too, you see him running through, dragging some defenders with him. You want to see him running angry and getting the yards after contact, because that's how you move the chains in the National Football League. We're going to take a quick timeout here as we continue to recap Giants, Cowboys. But first, Giants fans, it's Moody's. Decode risk, unlock opportunity. You can learn more at moodys.com. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. After the break, head coach Brian Daboll headed to the podium to discuss the Giants' Week 13 loss in Dallas. 27-20 is the final. We'll hear what the head coach had to say as Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health, continues. But a reminder, limited tickets are available for the remaining home games at MetLife Stadium for the Giants' 100th season. Just scan that QR code on your screen right there or visit giants.com/tickets to find your game and secure your seat. Today, come out and support Big Blue in person. We're back with more after this. Today's scoring drive of the game is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. Citizens is made for Giants fans. For every scoring drive this season, Citizens will donate $750 to the Giants Foundation to support their work tackling important community issues, improving overall health, and empowering our youth. For the drive of the game, we take you to the 4th quarter. 8 plays, 80 yards, 2 minutes and 21 seconds off the clock, capped by an 8-yard rushing touchdown by the quarterback, Drew Lock. That would make it 27-20. As the Giants were trying to fight their way back into this one. That would be the final score of the game. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Madelyn, Burke, and the well-dressed Amani Toomer recapping this one. Amani, I mean, when you look at the way in the 4th quarter of this game, Cowboys are up 27-13. The Giants have the ball with just over 4 minutes and some change, and they're running this 2-minute offense, trying to get 2 scores down the stretch of this game. What did you like from that sense of urgency and the way they executed late in the game? Well,
I liked Drew Lock's tenacity. I mean, he was getting hit the entire game and kind of shook it off there at the end and was able to put some drives to put some good pass completions, run the ball when he needed to, throw the ball to Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, the guy was just like a running bull out there. Every time he took he got hit the first time, he spun off, he tried to make plays, and he looked like he's playing with intensity. And also Tyrone Tracy as well had some really key rushes, key catches to move the chains, and that to me was really indicative of the young players trying to make plays. I wish more players would do that. and to show the intensity that's needed to win in this league. Because you look at some of these times and it just doesn't look like it's supposed to. And when you got young guys setting the tone, that tells you something about this team. But I was really impressed with Tyrone Tracy, really impressed with Theo Johnson, and I was also impressed a little bit with Locke, even though the way he fought through all the adversity.
Right, and especially for Drew Lock, it's a short week. He finds out he's getting the start yesterday officially. The Giants didn't have a full practice all week because, of course, they played on Sunday. They traveled on Wednesday, so they had walkthroughs this week. So Drew Lock isn't throwing at practice rep speed, and he's just kind of getting into it. The way, yes, as a backup quarterback, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. But the way that Drew Lock was able to get in there and execute with no practice reps this week is a pretty impressive feat.
Yeah, it shows that he's taking his job seriously, and you saw him before the game. He's out there with his going over his plays with his uniform. That tells you that he's all locked in, and that's all you can ask for a guy who's who had an unfortunate situation last week where he wasn't named the starter, being the backup. He got moved back down. That shows you that it doesn't get to him. He's been in the league. He's been around. He knows how things are. And keeping your mind going forward as a backup or as a player that doesn't get what you want, that to me is being a pro. And I thought Drew Lock showed that he was a pro today.
Absolutely. Absolute pro and ready when he is needed. Some other absolute pros are down on the field in Dallas. Standing by with more on this game as we send it out to AT&T Stadium, where Howard Cross and Paul Dottino are standing by.
Okay, Madelyn, thank you very much. Now, Howard, this year the Giants have not won the turnover battle in any of their games. Today, 2 turnovers cost them 2 touchdowns by the Cowboys, including a pick 6. Too much to overcome.
Yeah, a lot to overcome. And think about this, Paul. That 1 turnover in the first half, the batted ball that turns into a pick 6, that's the one that's the difference in the game by itself. If that play doesn't happen, the Giants have a better chance of staying in this game.
All right, now, I thought it was very important that in the final 5 minutes of the second quarter, the Giants had 3 possessions. They got a field goal, but only 26 combined yards of offense, and that's all they got out of it. They had opportunities to maybe turn the game around there, could not do it offensively.
Basically after the first drive they did a really good job. They came out 70 yards, scored a touchdown. You think they're going to continue that pace, but they couldn't. They had a couple plays where they didn't run the ball as well. Once you get behind the sticks, this team is not designed to throw passes and get down the field, especially against Parsons and crew.
Going back to that early touchdown, only the second time this season, the Giants had the lead after the first quarter, but they just couldn't do much with it. I want to go to the defense for a minute because they were a part of why the Giants had an early chance. In the first half, they held the Cowboys to 2 red zone field goals and stopped them on a 4th and 1.
They did a good job in the first half. They controlled the ball, they controlled the line of scrimmage, they stopped the run game, as all the things they wanted to do. But then as the half wore on, they got worn out because the offense kept giving the ball back to them. And once you do that, you get more and more plays. And then once you start to lose guys and you lost Big Dex in the game, it starts to be easier to run the ball against the Giants.
Now, we know big plays have hurt the Giants, especially on 3rd down. In the third quarter, where the Cowboys really took control of this game, the Giants gave up 3 for 3 on 3rd down conversions, including plays of 30 and 36 yards, and then 2 third down conversions were converted on penalties. That, to me, was really where the Cowboys put the seal on this one.
The penalties were pretty bad, but what hurt them most of all was the missed tackles. When you have missed tackles, big plays happen. They did have some balls thrown down the field, some great catches, maybe 1 or 2, but the biggest thing was the missed tackles. They missed tackles 3rd and long twice. And, they ran a draw, ran it for 17 yards or 18 yards. You can't do that. You have opportunities to get off the field. Don't miss the tackles. Everybody's got to rally to the ball.
Howard, final thought, Locke's mobility looked like he had some pretty good legs at times today. Obviously ran for touchdown. And then also he had that nice drive at the end of the game, drove the Giants down, got them within 1 score, threw the ball pretty well.
He did pretty good, and the hurry-up offense is the offense they were running at the end of the game. Those are just, set plays. They're easier to do. Everybody knows them. I think in the middle of the game where he kind of had a little problem, he started to get better as he started to hit the receivers, but he had some throws that were behind the receivers. That's just coming from being a little rusty in the game.
Happy Turkey Day, Howard.
Happy Turkey Day.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks. Let's go back to the studio.
Happy Thanksgiving to you guys, too. Thanks so much, Paul Dottino and Howard Cross out in Dallas, providing us with their perspective. One thing that I found interesting, too, is they were talking about how late in the game they were running a little bit faster, that hurry-up offense to get down the field quicker. Mm-hmm. It felt like in that situation, the pass protection was a little bit easier, too, because they had to move so fast. They had to get the ball out. Obviously, Jermaine Illuminor out for this game. Andrew Thomas is out for the season. You got Evan Neal and Chris Hubbard starting at tackle. Mm-hmm. And Drew Lock was getting hit. He was sacked 6 times on the day by these Cowboys. When you look at the pressure that he was receiving all day, how much did that play a factor here? Yeah,
I think it played a factor in him not being comfortable in the pocket. So I think as that drive went on, because the drive was so long and there was so quick plays in succession, I think the defensive line got a little tired, and they weren't able to dial up all these elaborate blitzes that they had done during when they're playing regular because of the pace of the game. And I think that allowed the offensive line to kind of settle in a little bit. But yeah, they were struggling. They were struggling a lot trying to block, and there was a lot of holding penalties. A lot of the depth of this offensive line is something that needs to be looked at. And but I feel like once we got into 2-minute, maybe we should go into 2-minute a little bit more often to kind of alleviate some of the trickery that goes on with the when you're set and the linemen can come, the linebackers can come in and out and kind of confuse the count of the line count. So yeah. I think that's one of the things that has to be looked at, but I felt like Drew Lock did handle it very well. Yeah,
absolutely. It's a tough way to finish the game right there. Of course, they had a chance. They were driving down the field. They got one score. They didn't get the ball back in time, and Dallas finishes it 27-20 is the final score out in Dallas. One other thing, too, that when you look at the way that the pressure was coming in on that, you mentioned the penalties. 13 penalties for 98 yards. We touched on this earlier, but a lot of them coming in and becoming third down conversions. Yeah. When you have that kind of penalty and that kind of discipline, Malik Neighbors wide open for a 29-yard reception down the sideline, but Chris Manhertz gets a flag, things like that. And nullifying these big plays, does that kind of take the air out of the balloon a little bit for the players?
It really does, because you want to try and get some momentum going, and to convert a 3rd and long is a real momentum game for the offense, and it really takes a lot out of the defense. But if you convert it but then give it back, that just was one of those situations where you're just taking all the air out of your sails, and when you make it in from a 3rd and long, you make it a 3rd and longer, and you end up killing the drive. And when you kill the drive, you don't get the ball to stay on the field. So there was a lot of things that snowball from just poor play, from undisciplined play, which is more concerning. That with the offsides, the procedure penalties, those are things that should be cleaned up on Friday, on Saturday in the walkthroughs. Right. But for some reason, they're just keep roaring their heads at the very worst times to kill drives and kill momentum. Yeah. Especially from a struggling team, you need all the momentum you get, and you're giving away 98 yards from the get-go, right from the game, from right when you start, you're giving away 98 yards for 13 penalties. That's not a way to win games, especially on the road. That's
the length of the field right there, pretty much.
Almost.
Tough one there for the Giants. 27-20 is the final. We're going to continue to break this one down as the show rolls on, and after the break, of course, we're going to hear from Dable. But first, Giants fans, the official 100th season book titled New York Football Giants, The People, The Moments, The Traditions, is now available exclusively at the Giants online shop. This book explores the top 100 players of all time, one of whom is on the set with me today, as well as unforgettable games and stories that have defined the franchise for the last century. Visit the Giants online shop to get your book today. Coming up next, head coach Brian Dable heads to this here podium. Stay with us to hear what he has to say next. Giants fans, join the Giants text alert community for breaking news, sweepstakes, ticket offers, and important game day information. Just scan the QR code on your screen or text Giants to 201-636-1569 to get started. Welcome back to Giants Postgame Live, brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health. Keep getting better. The Giants went down to Dallas to face the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. 27-20 is the final score as the Giants fell to the Cowboys. Head coach Brian Dable, though, is headed to the podium. Let's take a listen to hear what he has to say.
tough game, competed to the end. Not the results we want. So, disappointing trip.
You took us through sort of the timeline with the quarterbacks, and just how that played out with knowing when Tommy wasn't going to play, and obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, we're right. You know, was it yesterday when we left? He came in, he was probably a little bit more sore than he was the day before, a little bit swollen, so you wanted to make sure that everything was all right. Went and got tested, and you know, just in the morning, even before he went to get looked at, we knew that he probably wouldn't be able to do it. Wanted to give him all the way up to it, but had a good feeling, Dan, that he wouldn't be able to do it. But you know, didn't want to rule him out. Just want to make sure that he got looked at, and if it was better today, you know, maybe he had a chance, but wasn't.
Do you think he could be ready for next week?
Yeah,
Does he have a chance? Like,
I probably, yeah. But I can't. No, it's nothing. You know, over the top, significant weeks. Just pretty swollen arm.
Is he your quarterback moving forward? As long as he's healthy at this point?
Yeah, we just got done playing here. We got a few days here. We'll go back and you know, watch this game. You know, thought Drew did some good stuff, and then you know, 2 big turnovers. One on the screen. Had a big opportunity to get a big play on, and then coming out at the second half, you know, up in the pocket and getting the ball knocked out. Can't have those turnovers.
Singletary got hit pretty good, you know, trying to get out on that screen. Did that screw up the timing, or did Drew just have to?
Yeah, he thought he could get it around him, Paul. He thought he could get it around him rather than layer it over the top. There was really nobody else out there. It was the guy that was covering him, his man, and guy made a nice play.
How do you account for 13 penalties?
Yeah, some are physical, Pat, but the other ones, the pre-snap ones, have to do a better job of that. You know, we had some offsides and false start, delay game. It's not good enough.
Talk about the swing there in the third quarter when looks like you're going to get the fumble for the touchback, and then
down on the goal line. Yeah, you know, it was close. Close. It was a nice play by Bobby getting it out. His knee just touched.
Do you think it negatively impacted Drew's ability to prepare for the game, that he didn't know until Wednesday he was going to be the starter?
No, I think, you know, Drew's done this for a bit. There was no practice. We did a bunch of walkthroughs. We had a good amount of walkthroughs. We had a bunch last night as well. So again, we got to take care of the ball. You know, it's taking care of the ball is important. Did some nice things. You know, it was just kind of some good, some things we can improve on. Competed all the way to the end. Made some nice throws, saw some things, but again, we turned the ball over, and that hurts.
do you have any update on Dexter?
I know he has an elbow. I just got Dexter elbow, Nacho, Stinger, neck, DJ Davidson, shoulder. That's what they wrote on here.
Anything with Bobby? It looked like he was going to get an X-ray.
Don't have anything on Bobby.
Why did you have the running back lined up often right behind John Michael as a protector on offense?
Well, there's different looks that teams give you. Coach Zimmer double mugs and things like that. There's a reason why for it in terms of getting picked and thinking, you know, linebackers picking centers or guards. So there's times when you get that where, you know, sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't, based on the protection scheme.
Does that take away from the help you maybe can give your tackles when you're facing a team like this with those mismatches?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we had a number of jams. With tight ends, it's one less guy out if they have it. So we had, I'd say, a fair amount of jams. Not on every play, Pat, but jams with the tight ends. And, you know, sometimes you can get jams with the running backs that they mug them up there and you have a certain protection scheme and they got a responsibility. Then they have to protect that guy. But, you know, we had a number of chips and jams and things like that. You know, give those guys credit.
You've had 3 different quarterbacks now in 3 straight games. The results of offensively, in regards to, you know, consistently moving the ball and gaining yards, it's been a struggle. Why do you think that is? What do you see as the common theme?
Yeah, I mean, we just got done playing here, Jordan. You know, today was, you know, a couple turnovers, and then, you know, there's certain plays that we had opportunities to either make or call or whatever it may be. but just not good enough.
Well, I mean, I'll say then, can the quarterback, can they operate under that kind of pressure that Drew faced today? Like, is it even fair to evaluate and say, hey, you know, he's going to have a legitimate chance of success if we're going to allow that much pressure?
Yeah, I'd say that's the job of a quarterback, is to be able to handle different things. Certainly, you want to make sure you can protect and give him an opportunity, but taking care of the ball is one of the primary jobs for a quarterback, to not give it to the other team. And certainly a lot of people, myself included, we can all be better. But Drew competed. There were some good plays out there, and then there were some plays that I think we wish we would have back.
Why have you not been able to improve the run defense?
Yeah, a couple. There's some missed tackles again tonight. It's something we're constantly coaching, talking about, and wasn't good enough.
There was a lot of talk last week, obviously, with the bad loss to the Bucks from the locker room about
Yeah.
how the team played, the characterization. Do you think this effort, and I know you didn't question the effort last week, but the way you played was more indicative of what you want to see, despite the loss, than what you saw last week?
Yeah, we'll go back and look at it, Paul. I think these guys, competed all the way to the end. Again, there's certain plays throughout the game that if you have an opportunity to make them or call, whatever it may be, that we didn't get the job done. Give Dallas credit, but we competed all the way to the end, and some plays here or there that we need to make.
Devin in response to Tracy's fumbles recently?
Yeah, we had a few runs in there that we liked motor on, and then Tracy, obviously turned the ball over last week, but have a lot of confidence in Tracy. He played quite a bit for us, made some nice plays for us.
Brian,
Yeah.
7 straight losses here.
Yeah.
I know John has said he wants to remain patient with your guys' process and regime. Do you worry that these results would maybe lead him to possibly go back on that?
No, I don't like the results. Nobody likes the results. But again, I have confidence in the people. We just got to do better.
You're not worried about your job security at this point?
No.
Anything else? All right.
Okay.
That sound from head coach Brian Daboll is brought to you by your local Ford stores. Ford is proud to be the official truck of the New York Giants. Giants fall to the Cowboys. 27-20 is the final score. Brian Daboll talking about, hey, this is a disappointing trip and this is a disappointing loss. Obviously wanting to come away with a win. Giants dropped their 7th straight on the season, 8th straight to Dallas. But when you look at the difference between this win on Thanksgiving Day on Thursday and this loss on Thanksgiving Day and Thursday and last weekend's loss at home, it's a very different feeling. The Giants made it close late. They weren't able to finish with enough to get the win, but they made it a game. They made it interesting. There was a little bit more fight in this team this week. Did you see that?
I saw a little bit more fight, but the execution needs to be better, right? You need. I've never really believed in losses that kind of like motivational, like a moral victory. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Like a moral victory. I never really believed in that, but I feel like they're trending better than they were. Ever since that first half when they were down 30 points this weekend. From then on, I think they played much better football. But what's creeping up on this team is the little mistakes that they're making, the penalties, the missed tackles. Those are things that can be controlled and that can be mitigated. That should be mitigated by this point in the season. So it's a head scratcher trying to figure out why this team is playing like this. But the effort is there, but we need more effort, better execution, and better tackling.
Exactly. And, of course, we've got some health to monitor as well. Some players left the game. DJ Davidson with a shoulder, Nacho with a stinger, Dexter Lawrence with an elbow. We'll keep our eyes on those, as Brian Daboll said, moving forward. But reminding you, guests of our post-game show receive a gift certificate to Ben & Jack's, located on 44th Street in Manhattan. From the celebrated porterhouse to finer seafood, Ben & Jack's will surpass your expectations of what a steakhouse should be. After the break, we'll hear from Dexter Lawrence. Check in with Sexy Dexy, see how he's feeling after the loss. More sound from Dallas next.
What did you think of the team's effort today? I think we played a hell of a game, honestly. We played hard. I think we played well. Just tough loss. I think we played a good game.
It's Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence. Dex left the game late in the game with an elbow injury. But, Amani, you'll remember last week after the Bucs game, he said, hey, the performance by this team felt soft. He wanted to see more. And now, after this loss to the Cowboys, 27-20 is the final, he's saying, you know what, I think we had a bit of a spark out there.
I think they played a little bit better, but like we was talking about earlier in the show, it just, if you could play hard, but if you play hard and you make little mistakes and penalties, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. So it's just one of those things where you got to have more than just playing hard.
Well, and it's good, though, as a player, right? A player who wears the C on his chest, a captain on this defense, on this team, and one of the more veteran players in that locker room, to be holding his teammates accountable, to have high expectations about the product that he wants to see on the field from himself, from the defense, from the offense, from the team as a whole. Yeah,
I think so. But I want him to stay on his teammates and make sure that, okay, you play hard. That's a given in the NFL. Now you got to play hard and play smart and not have penalties and make tackles. And there's a lot more than just playing hard. But I feel like they did make a step forward. But this is how many weeks in, and we're talking about trying to win games. This is something that needs to be addressed by now, and it's really sad that we're not in a better spot.
And I think also Dexter probably, I have no doubt he is staying on his teammates personally behind the scenes. I think after last week when he said that the effort of the way that the team looked as a whole was soft and it was misconstrued in some areas in which that people misrepresented his words to say, hey, he was calling a player soft, which he was not. I think Dexter's a little bit more decisive and deliberate with his words in the public setting to make sure that, hey, the message is coming across to the teammates and it's not being misconstrued in a game of telephone. Now, we'll keep an eye on his elbow injury. As head coach Brian Daboll said, it's a dislocated elbow. He left the game. Of course, it's a long stretch between between now and the next game. But another leader on this Giants defense, Bobby Okereke, is speaking in the locker room now. Let's send it down.
Adversity every week, whether it's your record, whether it's criticism, whether it's injuries. It's always adversity that we deal with. So we welcome that.
I saw you just asked us to get X-rays. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, feeling good.
What were they checking?
Just checking my body out.
Dex is in a sling. What does that do to this team?
It's tough. I thought Jordan Riley and Elijah Chapman earned a lot of respect, being the only two defensive linemen in the second half and, fighting. That was a lot. Obviously, Dex is our leader, and when he's healthy and he's back on the field, we're a much better team, so excited for him to get healthy soon.
Bobby, the two turnovers, obviously, they took advantage of getting touchdowns. But you guys, coming out of halftime, you had the ball, close game, and they had that big third-quarter touchdown drive. I thought that was a real turning point in the game. How did you see it?
Yeah, there were a lot of momentum swings in this game. It probably felt worse than it actually was. We lost by one score, and, definitely disappointing to end the game on defense, not giving our offense a shot to tie the game up and go out there and score. But it was a good back and forth game. I thought we battled pretty well. Obviously can play better, so just got to go back and check the tape and see how we can do better.
With all this broadcast.
That's Giants linebacker Bobby Okereke as we take a look at his numbers today against the Cowboys in Dallas. 5 tackles, 9 combined, 2 tackles for loss, and a pass defended. Although the Giants came away just shy of the success, 27-20 is the final score. We've got much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. Stay with us. Giants Postgame Live brought to you by Hackensack Meridian Health is back for more after this.
The last 24 hours been like for you?
Shoot. Upset when you lose, but nothing but fun. You love football, love being able to come out here and play on Thanksgiving. You want to win. Upset we didn't. A couple of things we could have done better, but last 24 hours, I won't forget it. awesome opportunity to come out here and play. Wish you could have got it done. But, I was very excited to be told I was going to be playing and come out here and try to get a win.
You did enough today to hold on to this job for at least another week?
I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm going to leave here, get on the plane, and watch the tape, see what I could have done better, learn from it, grow, and if that opportunity comes again, then be ready to play and play better than we did today.
When were you officially told that you were starting?
Today's Thursday, right? I think before we left, I was told that it's looking that way. And then by the time Tommy got here, we knew for sure.
You haven't had a full practice with the starters since spring, right?
Yeah, we had some walkthroughs, but no, nothing full tilt. No.
What did you see on that screen?
Oh, it's classic. If you know that play, you want pressure into that front side. Back will make a little collision and get out. That buys another one that we don't have to deal with and gives us better numbers on the screen. And he walked up on the ball pre-snap. I knew it was going to happen. Faked it, came back, got the bump from the back. Thought I had enough to squeeze it in there. And their team made a good play. Got his hand on it, tipped it up, took it back. But it wasn't anything that I wasn't, I saw it. We were hoping for that. You want that pressure into that. And was just trying to make a play that, looking back at it now that happened, just go ahead and dirt it. But
Dirt it as opposed to, could you get it over him?
could get it over the top, but then you run the risk of when you do float it, because you got to wait a little bit when the back chips. When you do float it, offensive lineman downfield starts to come into play on a screen. But yeah, float it or put it at his feet.
That's Giants quarterback Drew Lock after his first start of the season. As we take a look at a quarterback comparison, Drew Lock, Cooper Rush, two quarterbacks on Thanksgiving Day at play. One thing I love that Drew Lock said, though, to start off his press conference, you know what, I love football, and playing on Thanksgiving is a lot of fun, and that is one thing we remember, because today is a day we got a lot to be thankful for, people, and of course, a lot to be thankful for, a nice little spread of food out here as our Giants Postgame Live crew comes together for a nice little feast. We changed it up, our food of the day today. We had a full-on Thanksgiving feast. We had some pies out there, whole crew and the whole group sitting together for a nice little meal of Thanksgiving. And we got our pie on the set here today too, because
Yes, we
of course
do.
it is that time of the day. Of course, we've had our Thanksgiving feast. It's time for the pie. We got the pumpkin in front of us.
Yeah, we got the pumpkin pie. I'm more of an apple pie guy, but I can use pumpkin, but sweet potato pie. That's another one that's very highly underrated for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna grab some of
Pumpkin
this.
pie is my favorite. I'm not gonna pull a Rooney Mara and eat the entire pie in one sitting like she did in A Ghost Story. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Her and Casey Affleck. We got more Giants Postgame Live after this.
Malik, it was a short turnaround with the Thanksgiving game. He also had a quarterback change. How did you feel the offense was able to deal with all of those hurdles and try to move the ball and get something going?
I feel like the offense handled it really well. I mean, finding out we're going to have a new quarterback throwing to us, probably a day before we leave to come out here. I think we did well as an offense. I think Drew led the team well. I think we was happy for him that he went out there, that he got his opportunity to go out there and deliver the football and lead the team. So yeah, I think we did a good job. Just came up a little short, had a few miscues, a lot of penalties we got to clean up. Just a few areas that we need cleaning up, and we win that game.
What was it like for you? They came out throwing to you obviously a lot in that first drive, which is something you wanted. So what was your reaction to that?
I was happy. I was happy.
Did it help you get into a rhythm, that type of thing?
I think it helps. It helps me get into a rhythm, get hit a few times, feel the ball. And yeah, I feel.
That's Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors. We take a look at his numbers today against the Cowboys. Amani, one of the things that Malik was talking about earlier this week is how important it is for him to get involved early just to get into a rhythm in a game. And that's part of the reason he said that he wanted that after the last week's loss. Do you as a receiver see that? The more early you get involved in a game, the more easy it is to get into a rhythm?
I mean, it is. It's easier, but your job is to be there when you're called on. So you have to. I mean, that's a way of looking at it. They got to get you in, but other ways is you got to just stay focused and stay locked in no matter what. And I never had the opportunity to say, give me the ball whenever I want it. And so when I see this, it's just kind of like, it's hard for me to understand as a receiver that, demanding the ball for, I don't know. It's
not
tough.
just a receiver, as the Giants' all-time leading receiver. I think you know a thing or two about it. But he's a young guy. He's a rookie. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
He's learning as he goes on. All right, Giants fans, make sure to check out the Eli Manning Show, presented by Panini Prism Trading Cards. All you have to do is subscribe to the Giants YouTube channel to catch all of the new shows. It's the Eli Manning Show. Subscribe today. Much more to come here on Giants Postgame Live. Stay with us as we wrap it up. Send you out with a happy Thanksgiving. Back after this. Well, as we turn the page to week 14, the Giants back at MetLife Stadium hosting the New Orleans Saints, and they've got a while until this one. Sunday, December 8th is the game. Of course, the Saints coming off a bye December 1st. This weekend, they will be playing a game, and the Giants will be able to watch it in real time, extra time to prepare for this New Orleans Saints team. But when you're back at MetLife, back at home, a lot of questions for this Giants team. What are your early focuses for the Saints?
My focus is trying to tackle Alvin Kamara. The fact that, we've had so many missed tackles, and Alvin Kamara is a guy who can really take advantage of missed tackles and no penalties. And, really, those are the two things that I'm really focusing on. Making the tackles and making the tackles and not getting any penalties to give the Saints any extra advantage coming in MetLife.
And perhaps maybe winning the turnover battle, because the Saints are one of the top teams in fumbles this season. They're the fifth most fumbles on the season this season in the National Football League. So if the Giants can get a takeaway or two, perhaps with their defense, put the offense in a prime position, we'll see. Lots of questions remain. Brian Daboll has said we're going to continue to evaluate the tape as to who will be starting at quarterback in that game. But we'll be keeping you posted with all the latest.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, that's a wrap for us today. Wishing you all at home a very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for spending it with us on Giants Postgame Live. For Amani, Toomer, I'm Madelyn, Burke. Very grateful for you all and everyone in our studio. We'll see you next week.